Welcome back. Unfortunately, I'm recording this video with Bitcoin below $76,000 as we saw Bitcoin, crypto, and the entire US market do a huge reversal from this morning. In fact, this morning, the US market opened with Dow at plus 1,300, NASDAQ at plus 600, Bitcoin closing in at $80,000. And then we saw everything come back down. We actually ended up today in red, quite red. In fact, today was the biggest reversal in S&P history. Well, not history, but the greatest one since 2008, okay? The last huge recession. This is something that I've been hinting at for a while now, and I said that, yeah, what's happening right now reminds me a lot of the 2008 housing bubble recession, and we're seeing a lot of similarities. The volatility, the crazy opens and closes, right? We're seeing a lot of that right now. And of course, all of this is due to tariffs, right? And we got more tariff news today. In fact, all the tariffs that's been talked about, all the reciprocal tariffs, they kick in today. So as you can see, the U.S. Customs will start collecting new tariffs on imports from 86 countries starting midnight today. According to Trump, this will bring in an additional $2 billion in revenue per day. Okay, which sounds like it's really good. Sounds like it's a lot. However, we are definitely moving towards tariff wars. Okay, wars across the nation. There are a lot of countries that are not very happy with what's going on, especially all the retaliation tariffs that's happening right now. So because of the back and forth with US and China, now starting tonight, there will be 104% tariff on China. That's kicking in tonight. That means everything from American companies and European companies and Chinese companies, any of the goods being produced in China, doesn't matter if it's US based, European based, Chinese based, if they're being imported in the US, they'll be hit with 104% tariff. So your next iPhone, your next Nike sneaker, your next widget from Walmart or Target will be 104% more expensive. Obviously, China does not like this, okay? There's a stalemate. No one wants to cave. Both sides are making moves, and that's why I'm saying there is definitely a tariff war. Not just one war, many wars across the board. So China, what they're doing right now is China is one of the biggest bondholders in the world, okay? U.S. bonds, that is. So right now, what they're doing is they're dumping their bonds right now. And why are they doing that? They're doing that on purpose to manipulate the bond yields. So the 10-year Treasury yield, which should be crashing, actually reversed up in a big way today because there's a sudden influx of bonds being sold, right? So this is one way that they're retaliating back against the U.S. But of course, all this is also hurting them too. Their own currency, the yuan, is devaluing in a big way because of all the tariffs. Because people know that this is going to hurt them badly. U.S. is the biggest buyer of all goods, right? And if the U.S. starts buying less or stops buying altogether, it's going to hurt them tremendously. So no one's going to win, okay? There's going to be casualties both sides, but this is one example how there is a war going on and both sides are going to suffer starting today. And you know what? Just for fun, today, Trump said, you know what? I believe Apple can produce iPhones in the US. We don't need Apple to produce all those iPhones in China. So Forbes decided to do an estimate. They did a cost estimate of how much it would be to produce an iPhone in the US right now. And according to them, it'll be between $30,000 to $100,000 to produce one iPhone, because obviously we don't have the manufacturing, we don't have the supply chain, everything set up here, okay? If we did, it would be a lot less than that. But if we were to start producing iPhones today, it's that much. So obviously, this is going to take time. Even in Apple, they already are investing in a big manufacturing plant here. But even if they put all their billions or hundreds of billions and decided to try to move everything back to the US, it's going to take a long time before they get everything back to normal. That's just one example of what the tariff war is doing. So prepare yourself. iPhones, iPads, iWatches, iMacs, they're going to get a lot more expensive. But it's not just with China. Canada is very pissed off too. Canada doesn't want to bend the knee, and they said that, hey, they're going to retaliate and add 25% tariff on all US-made cars in Canada. So Fords and GMs and Dodges and Rams, they will get 25% more expensive in Canada. And that's just the beginning, right? Tariff wars all around. So that's why we reversed. That's why the futures market tomorrow is looking red. So all the greens today got wiped out. That's exactly what's happening. So again, tomorrow could be very red. Tomorrow could be scary once again. However, remember, the winner in a tariff war or wars, right, is the one that doesn't have to participate at all, and that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is non-sovereign. It doesn't belong to the US or China or Canada or UK or Australia. It doesn't belong to anyone. So there's no tariff. It's not physical anyways. Okay? And many believe that Bitcoin will be the winner. Right now, Bitcoin is a little bit weak, right? Obviously. But compare it to where it was in the last recession in 2020. And of course, if you compare it to where it was in 2008, 2009, it didn't even exist in 2008, but compared to 2009, it just came out. It was nothing. Sub pennies. Compared to 2020, it was at 4,000, right? So even though it's weak now, it's much stronger than previous times, previous recessions. There are a lot of panicked people right now. There's a lot of fear out there. So of course, there's a lot of traders that are selling. They're selling everything. But just like Michael Saylor, just like Cathie Wood, just like even Bitwise CIO, they all recognize that Bitcoin is a true winner, especially the longer you hold it, the more you gain, right? And that's what he says. Bitcoin will be the winner because if you look at the performance, it always comes back up. During scary times, yes, it goes down, but it tends to be the most resilient. And then it tends to bounce back the hardest and fastest. And the performance is unmatched. That's why Bitcoin will be the winner in this war that we're in, or wars that we're in. Okay. And we still have a lot of good news. For example, this community bank, Union Savings Bank, they disclosed they have Bitcoin exposure. So more and more and more companies, financial institutions, banks, public trade companies, they're getting involved with Bitcoin. Okay, slowly but surely. And of course, whales are still loading up. That has not changed. Okay, so bottom line is stick with Bitcoin. Even though right now it looks a little scary. Okay, there's a lot of scary tariff stuff happening. Tonight, the tariffs start. Okay, we'll see what happens tomorrow and moving forward. Okay, markets probably not going to react well. But if you look at how the Mag 7, Magnificent 7 has been doing versus Bitcoin, Bitcoin has been stronger than all of them. So compared to tech stocks, Bitcoin is still stronger despite its downwards movement. So think about that. Okay, so stay strong, my friends. We will get through this and we'll come back stronger. We will. Okay, so I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Tomorrow will be very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. And we'll live through it together. All right, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.